Folks, this is another one in our little campaign about the business rate situation in the UK. I know a lot of you listen from other places in the world, but this is like really exciting, so pay attention. In this, Karen, who runs the residents co-working space, which is sort of in deepest, darkest Essex in the UK, really captures what a place like hers, the value it has to the people in the building and the local economy and the local area and everything like that. And it's very easy to go co-working, it looks a bit like an office, but there's something way deeper. It's a bit of a catching smoke in the jar thing that a co-working space does, or a neighbourhood workspace, whatever you want to call yourself. The value it has to the local area is way beyond desks and Wi-Fi, as ChatGPT likes to tell you. Also, in the show notes, there's links to the how to email your MP pack put together by Jane from Flexer, and also there's a link to the wait list for the 24th of February, which is the Unreasonable Connection in person, where co-working community builders will be chatting all day together about things like building community, being part of your local area, and probably business rates too at that stage. So let's get into the show with Karen. Really appreciate this one. Cheers, folks. Hello, folks, and welcome to today's Co-working Values podcast, and all the way from, I'm going to say it's the co-working space nearest Stansted Airport. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Equidistance, Cambridge, London, and Stansted Airport.
So, Karen Tait, what are you known for, and what would you like to be known for?
So, I think I'm known as the girl who tried to do co-working in a local coffee shop 8 years ago, and felt that there must be a better way for me to work in my small business. And at that time, there wasn't really a great deal of choice locally in my local community. So I went ahead and created my own. So the residence was born out of my own selfish needs of needing a place to work.
I think all the best places are. Like, there are obviously places that are a little bit more, I know, I can't remember the word, like not that, got myself out of that. But
I think you're born out of a desire for somewhere, for not just me to work, but for other people to work, and together form a community, a business community, there for the highs, the lows, the in-between bits, the celebration, the validation, the curiosity, all the things. Like a level playing field for small business owners, a place where startup dreams can happen together with other people. There's a lot of energy. You can't bottle energy, but you can feel it, and happens on a daily basis here. And potentially, like you said, like because I was a user and then an operator, and now the next level, it's allowed me to go through all the weeds of the business and understand. I knew what I was looking for, so I can't be the only one that was looking for something like this. So in order to deliver that, what did the residents need to be and stand for and deliver in its local community?
That's an Adam Ant song, isn't it? So what I want to get out of today's session, Karen, thanks for coming in, is like that you are, not the only, but one of the people that is like, can you describe where the residency is? Because it's not by a tube station in Zone 1, is it?
No. So we're Bishop Stortford, Hertfordshire. So we have a mainline train station to Liverpool Street. So this is very much a commuter belt. And again, my own experiences. When I worked in investment banking, I lived in the Docklands of London. I got married. I moved further out. I moved to Epping. I had children. I moved further out. But I was still commuting back every day to London. So, affordability kept me out of London. And also, I wanted to live more in a suburban environment, but still have access to London, Cambridge, all of those things. So, so I knew that Bishop Stortford in itself as a central location, 40,000 people, I've got a good working population, a lot of commuters, a lot of families, a lot of, would be a great place for the residents to be. So we're actually on a farm redevelopment, a little bit tucked away down a country lane, but in the middle of a housing estate. But there are other operators on the estate. There's a cafe, there's a gym, there's high net worth companies, there's beauticians. So that 5-minute life cycle that we often want to drop our children at school, to be able to park outside, to go for lunch in the cafe, to do our workout. Like I've seamlessly worked that alongside a workspace.
And this always sounds a bit like, how important is it for small and micro and freelancers to have somewhere? But like, it is really, really important. When I used to live in deepest Essex, there was, I would meet people, I'd go into London to do things, and I would meet people in London they were all in London because there was nothing to do where we lived near Lakeside Shopping Centre. Yeah. So you had to leave. And then if there had been somewhere for us to go, like a co-working space in this context, we'd just stay there. And then we meet stuff, and then we do, and all that. Could you say how that works for you? Because it's like really obvious, but I don't think it is as obvious as we'd like it to.
You mean the benefit to small business owners?
Yeah, having to the local economic infrastructure.
Look, I think we all don't want to spend huge amounts of money, huge amounts of time commuting to London for something that we would love to find locally. And up until probably 10 years ago, there were fewer spaces like the residence. And, there are now more. And, there are a lot, for small business owners to have a level playing field to start up, meet other entrepreneurs, other small business owners, to feel supported, seen, recognised, validated, to feel good about themselves, to feel good about their business. Because we know, don't we, Benny, when we speak to our friends and family about our businesses, often you get, well, what's that? What is that you do? You don't fill that space. Well, no, or like, and so when you're in a space where there are other people, I don't necessarily like the word like-minded, but I think it is really key here. When you're with like-minded people trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and obviously we're all at different stages of the business, support is truly important, and face-to-face support, and connecting with other businesses that are in your community, in your local community, who perhaps can cross-pollinate. We see lots of examples of that. Lighting engineers working with interior designers, small business owners working with the VAs in our space, estate agents working with the local videographer, and in terms of the residents supporting its local community, we took a decision a couple of years ago that for the most part, Bernie, we will not use Amazon. We will work with people, other businesses or people in our community to supply everything that we need for the community. So our economic give back, the local cafe does our food, a local cleaner, our coffee beans come from Saffron Walden, they're hand roasted, our cake lady, the engineers that we work with for the maintenance of the building, our health and safety team, our local IT firm. So they were all lived within the proximity of Hertfordshire. I think I'd love to document what that physically looks like in terms of cash, because I think that without realising it, you're having an impact on the local community by spending your money. And if you have to be intentional about that, and you have to be intentional as people. Like when we do as example, Visibite now, right, coming into Christmas. If every single person who lived in Bishop Stortford spent £200 on their local high street could survive. So until we start putting our money behind where we spend it, like with intention, it's really no good complaining that that beautiful gift shop on the high street has closed because nobody visited it or nobody bought from it because all that money was spent with online retailers. You have to spend your money where you can make the biggest impact, if that's what you want, for instance.
All of that. There's so Islington Council did a social value impact report, and I think it was 2022, or around that time, and it was about co-working. And then one of the things that came out of their research on that was, for every £1 spent, so in your area, for every £1 spent in Bishop Stortford with a local business, that pound will go around the local economy 4 times. When you go and spend it with, Sainsbury's or Marks and Spencer's, it goes to who knows where it goes, but it doesn't stay in the local economy. The other thing I kept on getting triggered when you said Amazon is, which is a brilliant segue to the business rates thing, is there's the whole business rates thing.
Yes.
And then I looked this up, like Amazon they will benefit from the business rates. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to this because I can't remember the whole story, folks. But basically, like, Amazon do really well out of this, and people like you and the people in your building don't do really well out of this.
Not at all.
And that is, and
not
good.
I listened to the show yesterday when you chatted with my good friend Roland from Dragon Coworking, and this is not, whilst the small business rates relief is the biggest impact for the co-working industry, the business rates evaluation as a whole will also affect cafe owners, pub owners, restaurants, dental practices, whilst building valuations are going up, but the rates multiplier is coming down, means a higher bill, bottom line. So rates are not coming down, they're going up. And there's now a 5-tiered system in this country. They're also talking about removing, when your building is vacant. So if a landlord has an empty building sitting on the high street, he's going to pay rates, whereas previously he would have a rates relief. So again, it's another squeeze on an already squeezed industry, because not only are small business owners struggling with cost of employing people, rising utility bills, cost of supply. My electricity bill, as an example, over the 4 years here at Bishop Stortford has tripled in price. So the other advantage, if you like, to a startup business or small business owner taking one of our private offices within the residences, we as a business protect them from those rising costs. We set their rates for the year or 2 years, however long they sign a sublease. So we're protecting them from those rising costs. So they should know their bottom line, how that's not. And if all of a sudden I have to pass on a rates bill because they're losing their small business rates relief, A, they might not be able to afford it, and B, the choices that they made 2 years ago when they joined us, suddenly the playing field is changing. And the only thing that's changing is, as Roland rightly pointed out, if these small business owners had took space on the high street, they would still be entitled, as long as their building was under the threshold, to small business rates relief. That, it's just penalising the system, penalising the very people that are the backbone of this country, taking risk, employing local people, growing their businesses, from little acorns into big oak trees. And that, for me, it's just not something that, I think it could be, it sounds dramatic, doesn't it? But I think it could see a lot of people that are hanging on by their fingernails go, do you know what? I'm done. I
don't think that's dramatic at all. There's this. I have to read things like 10 times before I say it out loud, but I've read so many things, and part of it is just, COVID was a big deal, but now, which obviously would have an impact on the economy and everything like that. But there are so many people that either run businesses or friends of ours that have, nice semi-detached houses, and they never talk about money. And now they're like, can you switch the light off in that room? Because it's, you never and it is really, really tight. And that's one of the, like, I've always loved the idea of having a business I can run from a laptop. Not because in some romantic digital nomad thing. I just like the idea of that, and not having a building. I grew up in catering, and I saw so many. I always loved working for independent restaurant owners, but the strain they had just put me off for life. I'd love a restaurant, but I'd love a co-working space, but not now. But it is unbelievable how many hidden costs are baked into it.
Yeah, I've started recently to be more vocal about the true running costs of this space. It's eye-watering. This is not a highly profitable business. This is a very lean business, incredibly lean. And every single time prices rise, employment costs rise, or we have vacancy, is a strain, is a huge strain. And it's just a constant juggle between giving and supporting the very people you want to, whilst managing your books, managing your profitability, making sure you have enough money to pay the VAT and the corporation tax and all of these things. And then this whole threat to the way in which rates will be applied to this building, it really could be, the final, wow, how we'll have three choices, right? We can't, well, the third choice would be unviable, to absorb it. The second would be to pass it on, which doesn't sit well with me, because I fully believe that the people in the private offices are fully entitled to small business rates relief. It's as simple as that. And this whole concern about paramount control of the building and various other things. I mean, this was tried 2 years ago, and it was stopped. And I'm very well, I'm not actually very confident, but yeah, I feel it's really important that I do something fundamental, talk about it, lay out quite clearly with the effects it would have for me personally on the residents. And that's, talking to our local MP, engaging with Jane at Flexa, who's done an incredible job. The email started coming in March. And initially I was like, well, I don't need to worry about that. And then you get another one and another one and another one. And you go, something's going on here. And it's really easy to think everyone else will deal with it for you. But I think sometimes you just have to, and like alluring to what Roland said yesterday or the day before about there's a fine line between spooking your members and raising awareness. And I don't think there's been enough said on platforms from business owners around these changes and how they will affect co-working spaces vocally.
There's a couple of things that is, I think, and this is partly why we're doing all these podcasts, is there's because in one way you're, hello, I rent you an office, but I always think this is my little thing is like, you're someone who runs a small business with a room full of small business owners, so you're on this like peer level.
Yeah.
And it's that's always how I related to it, because sometimes I've been in a member of a co-working space and the owner has acted like they're Walt Disney. Yeah. It's like, no, you're not. I know you are providing a service, but these people have the same issues as you, and then then it's clicked. What I wanted to ask you is, when other people go and see their MPs, like what would you recommend after? Did you know Josh very well before, or did you like ring him up and drag him in?
I had met Josh on a couple of occasions, one at a local exhibition and one when he came to visit Wickham Hall as a development with the landowner to see what the landowner has done with this estate. And so Josh came to see me within a week. I met Josh personally with Jane. We laid out all our concerns. He's taking that to the minister. He tried to raise a question recently in Parliament, but he wasn't chosen. So I think the more people that can root out their local MP, I think in the pack that Jane has created as a link in order to find your local MP. There's a templated letter for you. Set out your stall, set out how this will affect you, not just you, the people that you support, and together raising awareness of something that could be a fundamental blow to the industry on, already still trying to recover from COVID, don't forget. And this is just another cost that will be a cost too far to absorb. And
So
still,
can I jump in there? When you were talking to Josh, so imagine there's, other and I hope there's other co-working space owners listening to this, and not my mum. So, if you were like sitting at a round table and say, look, I met with Josh, and Jane happened to be there, which was, really helpful. Like, what did Josh not know or need to know? Is like so often I start conversations with, do you know what a co-working space is? And they go, I heard it WeWork. And it's like, no, it's not. That's I
think Josh was very well informed about co-working in general, what the residents does in this local community. Obviously, he knew me personally. Whilst Josh, business rates is very complicated. Even for Jane and me, it's a complicated system, but he understood the impact that this change would have by, an increased bill for me or losing small business rates relief. So he truly understood what a negative impact it could have in Bishop Stortford as a whole if this local workspace closed. So employment for people, money spent with local suppliers, and how he could then take that so that the people in government could truly understand the impact that it will have, and not just view this building as a building that is a profit-making centre. This is a space where, businesses, any business idea is possible, where businesses grow, where businesses are supported, where there's community, there's belonging, there's, events, there's, working with local charities and just lots of things, networking groups, photographers using the space, people coming from far and wide for board meetings because, like you say, we're well positioned with the airport and good transport links and free parking. So, the residents as a whole, has 150 members. So if the residents close, that's be 150 people that suddenly have no space potentially to work. So where do they go? They go back home.
That's the thing that concerns me as well, because there's people will I think to some extent, when you're a student, you always find money for beer, cigarettes and drugs, whatever's happening. So people will find somewhere to go for their business. But all the way through this conversation, this one today and the others, I just can see a lot of people that will go, I'm going to work from, my dining room table for now until something else comes up. And then suddenly 3 years will happen. And one of the things that first got me to stop popping into co-working spaces years ago and get a desk in Maynard Studios in Hackney in 2013 was because going somewhere every day was the back then it was £225 for a desk in Maynard Studios, and the money was a way better. That was investing in my mental health.
Yes,
I can't underestimate that or overestimate that. Sorry.
I think adding to that, Bernie, when you start a business, you suddenly think about all these things that you need. I need a website, I need a business card, I need my social platforms, I need a brochure, I need all of it. But I think more than all of that, what you need is people, community, a space to work, a space where you could network every day. Every day, there's someone new for you to meet, someone you haven't spoken to before, someone who's got an idea for you or a lead for you or a piece of business they want to discuss with you. Because seeing people on a regular basis not only builds familiarity, it builds trust. They get to know you. And even if they don't need your services, they probably do know, we have a very informal WhatsApp group within the residence, which is a place for support, banter, jokes, but also I need X. Does anyone know who does X? I need Y. And, there are other ways in which our members communicate via our app, via our notice boards, via the signs on those office doors, signs on those dedicated desks saying who they are, what they do. And relationships with other business owners is so important to your business. And so instead of just that opportunity to meet someone at a networking group once a month or twice a month, how about you basing yourself where there are, on a day-to-day basis, probably 60 other business owners that you could go, does anyone know about email marketing? Does anyone know a great CRM for me? What's your thoughts on LinkedIn right now? What are you seeing on social media like? And it's just, and because we gave up a lot of space at the residence for a beating heart, the big kitchen area, people come and have their lunch. We've got a jigsaw there. So people can sit and talk and be authentic and genuine and talk about what's troubling them right now, what's keeping them awake at night, what would they love help with, and then everyone will gather around and how can we help you? Do you need more clients? Do you need some funding? It's like it's a place to build really authentic relationships.
That last few minutes, that is I've had that experience so many different times in co-working spaces as a member over the years. And I think one of the things, I was trying to think of how to say it elegantly, but that what you just described is not a service the council could provide. And if they did, it would just be, well-intentioned, but they shoot themselves in the foot. I've seen that so many times as well.
I mean, I personally know every single person in the residence, as does Laura, our community manager. And that's been done, it's not done with a framework. It's just a genuine curiosity to get to know you, who you are, what you do, what brought you to this place, how did you get into this business, what do you dream of in the next 5 years? And I think to have someone it's really nice, isn't it, when you show interest in other people. There's a lot to be learned to listening to people and not just talking about yourself. I'm just a facilitator here. The residence is not about me. It's about the people in it. It's the people in it, and we constantly want to shine a light on them. I get my dopamine hit from walking around the space and seeing it work in a way that I anticipated it would work, seeing everyone being successful, smiling, being happy, being supported in meeting spaces, in private offices, on the hot desks, to our virtual mail customers who come in and collect their mail. How are you? How's it going? Oh, yeah. And having conversations, real conversations, not the conversations we always see on social media when everything's like rosy and amazing. It's not always rosy and amazing.
It's not always rosy and amazing.
If we could that vulnerability enables people to help you because then it will come to you because you asked for it. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy to ask for help, male or female. We don't want to tell people we're struggling. We don't want to help the business is failing. But I tell you what, it'd be a lot easier if you had people on your side that understood what it like to be sat in your shoes.
The last little bit I want to say on that is when you said tell people your business is failing, I've had this exact thing of where 9 o'clock in the morning, my business is failing and I sit at home and it's failing for the whole day, or 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing in a kitchen in a co-working space and I'm going, my business is failing. And then someone says, what's up? I can't get my website to work. Oh, did you know there were and then it's not failing by 9:15. Yeah. And I think there's a whole load of, like we've alluded to in this podcast, there's a whole load of living in your head.
The most important thing, I have the most control about how I can make people feel. And that goes back to hospitality. If we can make people feel like anything is possible, anything is solvable together, you're not living in your head. You're not talking yourself out of it. You're not saying you're a failure. You're not telling yourself that this business can't be successful, that you can't succeed. We can find a way together.
I want to keep hearing this, but I've got to go. And I love the way I'm genuinely like, love the way you've just described that. That's the kind of thing I was looking for today. Other than a map, like where can people find you?
Look, I'm as a person, professionally, I'm on LinkedIn, Karen Tait, with social platforms, obviously Instagram and Facebook. I've got our website. But if you live in and around this area, my door is always open. Cup of tea always ready. That's the northerner in me. You'll always get offered a cup of tea, slice of cake. We're well known for cake at the residence. Come in and talk to me. I'd love to help.
Beautiful.
Being a nice person costs nothing.
I love the way you conduct yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the show notes, Karen earlier mentioned about the thing. There's a better way to say that, isn't there? But there's a thing you can download, which is the Jane Sartin and Flex have put together this pack, which helps you email your MP. In that, there's templates to guide you. Don't just copy and paste it, because that, as we said in the podcast with Jane that comes out before this, you will get the attention of your MP by writing a real letter, not copying and pasting a template. There's also the website link where you can find your MP. You just put your postcode in there and it will come up. That's it. It's probably like half an hour's work, not a whole day. There's also a lot of stuff we've been talking about here is at the top of the LinkedIn co-working group, which is, I don't know why I was going to say on LinkedIn, but that's where you find that. And then at the end of February, we'll be in London for a whole day of co-working community builders, just talking all day. A lot of things we talked about in this podcast. Business rates will be there, how to just be part of your local area, which is really, really important. And I'm sure there's something else, but I'm gonna end there. Wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, be careful out there. It is a jungle. Say goodbye, Karen.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me, Bernie. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.